Is the city of Montreal less safe than it used to be?
I don't think so, no. I feel safer. I mean, I've never been jumped.
The city is very safe, very safe.
I'd say yeah, because so much homeless people on the street.
Old people, they're afraid to walk outside.
55% of Montrealers surveyed said they think the island is less safe than 5 years ago. That's according to a recent Léger survey commissioned by the Montreal Police Union. That feeling is particularly heightened in neighborhoods like downtown, the village, and on the metro.
Safety, drug consumption, and mental health issues that translates into nearly 80% of our workforce saying that the situation around their workforce has degraded and they no longer feel safer.
The parties running in this municipal election have all pledged to address these security concerns. But is the city of Montreal actually becoming more dangerous? How do we even measure this? Let's start with the raw police data. If you look at the evolution of total criminal code violations in Montreal, there has been an increase in the last 5 years. But one expert points out that these include pandemic years, and the crime rate was at a historical low in 2020.
The actual risk that people are in is so small, because even a 50% increase in some category of crime means that your chance of being victimized goes from 1 in 3,000 to 1.5 in 3,000.
Rutland says we should also be looking at crime severity. For example, in Greater Montreal, if we look at the severity of crime, it's pretty stable over the last 10 years and under the national average.
People's feelings of safety or unsafety have very little relationship to actual crime rates. And this is the same in Montreal as any other city.
So where do these perceptions of insecurity come from? Well, one expert explains that it's partially based on what people hear in the media. If people hear about the murder of a gang member, even though it's an isolated incident, it does have an effect on people's feelings of safety. It's also based on what people see on the ground. For example, encountering homelessness or people in crisis on the metro.
Parce que des fois, ils sont méchants, hein? On a peur de prendre le métro dans la nuit dans certaines stations de métro, oui.
It's why the STM put in place a no loitering rule. And the Transport Authority says it has reduced the number of assaults on employees and crime in the network. There have been instances where people have been harassed or attacked. But one expert explains that we do have to remember that there's a difference between being uncomfortable with what we're seeing and actual danger.
Poverty does not automatically translate into violence. There is no a direct correlation between that. However, when we talk about perception, what may happen is that people may feel threatened not by actual crime, but by the proximity of something that is wrong for them.
She says this could lead people to label places where homeless people congregate as more dangerous than elsewhere. The Montreal Police Department turned down CBC's request for an interview, but told us in a statement that it is aware of social cohabitation issues caused by drug use, intoxication, mental health issues, and the number of vulnerable people in public places. It acknowledges that this situation is affecting people's sense of security. So if discomfort with what we're seeing is a big part of the safety concerns, how do we actually address them? The parties running in Montreal's municipal election all offer different approaches. Ensemble Montreal says it would add more security cameras to public places, set up a tactical homelessness intervention group, and hire up to 230 special STM constables. Projet Montreal says it would set up more teams of officers and civilians trained in social work to respond to calls involving vulnerable people. Transition Montreal says it would focus on prevention initiatives and would limit the police intervention to urgent safety issues. Action Montreal says it would install smart surveillance cameras to deter crime and increase police patrols in certain neighborhoods. Futur Montreal says it would increase police patrols, set up a specialized task force to combat violence and drug trafficking, and train STM officers in frontline intervention tactics. So to answer the question of is Montreal less safe than it used to be, experts are divided. There's a lot of debate on how you measure the safety of a city. Do you focus on the increase of certain crimes, crime severity, or how people are feeling on the ground? What they can agree on is that we should avoid relying on polls or surveys to tell us about safety. Perceptions can be manipulated based on what people hear in the media and feelings of discomfort rather than actual risk. These experts say they are also looking to political leaders to address the heart of some of these concerns, including a focus on prevention and giving people in vulnerable situations the help they need.